Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. It's been a few months since I posted a video, so this will be my quarter 4 2023 update. Gonna go over all the movies I saw in theaters in 2023 quarter 4. But if you aren't new here, if you've been here before, you'll notice that we're at a different camera angle. I move my desk around, so hopefully you enjoy it. I put all of my newer steel books in kind of this general area. So we've got these 16 that are the most recently acquired ones. I got some really nice ones that I like the artwork for, with like Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible, and then we got a couple Disney Plus show releases. But yeah, hopefully you like the new angle. And yeah, with that, let's get into quarter 4 of 2023. So in general, I have seen a bit fewer movies lately. I started up school this last August, grad school, so that's been taking a bit more of my time, and so I've just been able to go to the movies a little bit less. So it's been kind of a matter of picking and choosing as we go, but I think on average I've kind of managed a B in my book across the board, which isn't bad, I would say. But maybe some ones have slipped through the cracks that I didn't see. If I do have one that I haven't seen that you saw and you really want to recommend, definitely let me know in the comments below, and I'll have to check it out on streaming. But yeah, with that, school's been going well. I did wrap up my first semester, and both my classes there got a couple A's, which was great. And then I'm back to school again this coming Monday. So it's probably going to be pretty similar for the channel moving forward without like individual movie reviews, but we'll see. It's a new semester, so we'll see what my schedule looks like for that. But yeah, let's dive on in. So I'm just going to go in the order that I saw them. So this is basically October through December for movies. And the first one is Dumb Money. This was a pretty fun film. It's about a real story. It happened a few years ago. I was generally aware of it, but I didn't know a ton of the details about it. And overall, I thought it was a good film. I gave it a B. I liked the music. I liked the characters. It was just kind of a fun movie, you know, root for the little guy sort of a thing. And I think it made me curious to go and like figure out a bit more about some of the terms that they were using. Like I didn't really know what shorting a stock was or like what that involved. So they don't overly explain things in the movie, but it's done in a way where you know what things are good and what things are bad. So I thought that was well done, and yeah, overall just an enjoyable film. Killers of the Flower Moon. This is the one I saw next. This one I was looking forward to quite a bit, but I was, especially with time constraints and being as busy as I was like, man, this is over a 3 hour commitment to go to the theater, sit through previews and the movie. But I made time for it, and it unfortunately kind of disappointed me for where my expectations were at. I was definitely hoping it'd be one of the best films of the year, but it came in as a good film for me. It was a B. There were things I liked about it and other things I didn't. I think it was very well made, like technically, like the cinematography was good, and I think the acting was very good across the board. But for me, I think the movie just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And talking about it with friends, and I think like I wouldn't be surprised. I think the movie is what it's trying to be, but it feels like it is presenting very sort of horrific acts in a very commonplace way, and I think that's kind of the point, but that didn't really sit well with me. Like just watching a bunch of people get murdered in a very unceremonious way for 3 hours is just a lot to absorb. And yeah, for me, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way that we're then to you kind of watch this as entertainment. Entertainment's kind of a loose word there, but like it's a movie, and so I don't know. I feel like it was made and showed a lot of yeah horrific murders without any sort of I don't know. I felt like it for me it missed the reason why. Like, okay, these things happened. You may like you've shown that it happened, and I'm very sad that it's happened, but like what can we do in recompense? It just seems like it's presenting it for the sake of presenting something that's hard to watch. And in doing that, it just felt like it kind of dishonored um the true sadness that's there from those real life events, to just kind of put them out for display. Like, look at the shock and awe of this. And that's kind of the feeling that the movie left with me. And that's why it didn't really get higher in my list, even though I think a lot of people were impressed with the film. But yeah, after that, I saw the Marvels. This was I'm a Marvel fan through and through, generally speaking. I think the first Captain Marvel film is a bit lower on my list if you looked at my full ranking of the MCU, which I have in my head, or at least on a digital piece of paper, but I haven't like put out a video or anything for that. But the Marvels, I thought, was a fun film. This, again, I gave a B. I thought it was a lot of fun overall, mainly because of Ms. Marvel. I think her character just put the life into this movie, but it was fun to see the three main characters working together, playing off of each other. I personally really liked the one planet that they go to. I think that was silly and fun. I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, but I think the main thing that was like disappointing about the film is I feel like it could have been an A if they had done the villain better. I really liked the story that they had for the villain, but my issue was with the presentation of it. And so we get her backstory as it kind of unfolds, but I think what would have been a lot more effective would have been to like start the movie off with her backstory and seeing it through her eyes, and explaining why she has the motivation that she has and why she dislikes Captain Marvel and why there's that enmity between them. We get that in the film and I buy into it, but it didn't have me feeling into it, if that makes sense. So I think if we had been presented those things not as backstory and kind of a flashback, but like happening in the here and now, and then we maybe jump to the present, like if it takes place in the past, they open with that and then they jump ahead. I personally felt like that would have been a lot more effective way to get me to relate to the villain and kind of take her side a bit more. So, and I think that just makes for a more effective film when you can do that. So I think that's kind of what kept it from the A in my book. But overall, still a fun film, still enjoyable, and yeah, I think worth the watch. Next up, we had The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is one of I don't know if it's like a top 10 franchise for me, but I've really liked the Hunger Games movies, especially the first three. The last one I think was just okay, but I think the first three are all A's in my book and movies I very much enjoy. So I was really excited to kind of return to this world. I haven't read the book for this, so I didn't really know what to expect. It's got some big name actors in it, like Viola Davis, and I was, yeah, I was just very excited. Peter Dinklage as well, to see them and to return to this world. And I think for me, the first two acts of this film, it's divided into three acts. The first two acts of the film were great, and I would definitely give that an A. But then the third act, I felt, was a little rushed and got from its beginning to its end in a little too quick of a manner, and so you go through the character development that's there, and it makes sense for where the character needs to end up, but in the context of the movie, it felt that it wasn't earned. And so overall, that dropped the movie down to a B. It was something that I really liked. I really liked going back to that world, seeing kind of that early days Hunger Games, which is very different from the current one from the original four movies. And I thought that was really refreshing. And I don't know, I'm a fan of like sci-fi fantasy, so just kind of returning to this sort of theoretical futuristic world was just a lot of fun and a great experience for me. After that, I think that brought us to like Thanksgiving time, and that week I saw a few different movies. Wish is the new animated Disney film, and this I was looking forward to. I think, let's see, I gave this one a B. It was kind of between a B and a C, but at the end of the day, I had fun with it. It's a lower B film. I enjoyed most of the music. It took me a little bit to place Chris Pine's voice. I'm like, oh, I think I know this voice, and then it clicked. But I think that, yeah, it's not a super deep film, but I think it has a good message, and I think it's entertaining, but not like a must see. But I didn't feel like it was a waste of time either. I liked the characters. It did pull up my heartstrings a little bit by the end, so I thought it did a good job there. and yeah, not Disney's best, but certainly I think far from their worst in my opinion. Napoleon, that's probably been for quarter four. That was my most anticipated film. Napoleon by Ridley Scott. I'd seen the trailers for it. I had heard that people had seen a scene or two at some like film fest or something like that, a CinemaCon maybe, and they were like, "Oh, that was one of the best, battle scenes I've seen on film." And so I was expectations through the roof, and gotta watch yourself with expectations. I think even without those expectations, this would come in where it does, which is a C. I thought this film was just okay. It was kind of meh, but overall, it was thoroughly disappointing. Disappointing given where my expectations were at. I think technically the film was filmed very, very well. I think, yes, the battle scenes were very impressive and very well choreographed and that sort of a thing. But to me, the film felt like it just didn't really know what it wanted to be. Either it had too much in it and they needed to cut some of the stuff out, or it feels like it was meant to be like another hour longer and we just lost a lot of it. But it's kind of in that gray area where it was sort of a war film, it's sort of a love, like romance film, sort of just like a biopic. But yeah, it didn't really do any well enough, and so it just felt like kind of a mashed together mess. And yeah, again, I think the stuff that we see is good, but it's not very well connected. I think Napoleon is maybe not the most compelling protagonist or like main character, especially the way he's presented. I think Joaquin Phoenix did a great job playing him as he was trying to play him, but given that he's the main character, I didn't really feel connected with him. I feel like I didn't really understand him, what we are supposed to understand about him. I just felt like I was being told and I had to accept, but I didn't really fully understand like how much Napoleon really loves France. Like he states that he loves France, so I'm like, okay, I'll take that he loves France, but like I didn't feel like he loved France, or like what does he mean by France? And so things like that, I just didn't really feel that connection to the main character, which I think you need for a movie like this. Similarly, yeah, the battles were cool, but most of the time you didn't really know why. I at least didn't know why they were being fought, and it didn't really set them up or explain the significance of them. And then knowing like a little bit about history and remembering back to high school when I studied some of this stuff, which maybe not everybody has studied it, so I don't think you can count on that. I think it was like a huge oversight that the movie didn't like impress upon the viewer just how significant it was that Napoleon invaded Russia and marched to Moscow and forced them to burn it. I guess spoilers, but this is all history. So and like not that there's much to spoil anyway, but the sorry if that's the spoiler and I didn't give a warning. But anyway, I hope it's not. I don't think it is. Um, I know because I'm familiar enough with history, even though not that much, that that was a huge event. Like nobody's done that before, and nobody's ever going to do it. To like march through Russia and like on foot take your army through that environment. Nobody's ever done it. Yeah, he suffered a lot of losses, but like that was truly impressive, and the movie doesn't thoroughly communicate that. Like I knew that because I knew that, but like I think it's kind of a failing on the movie's part, and that's just an example. So they don't really explain the significance of things, and yeah, overall I just found it kind of disappointing, unfortunately. After that was Godzilla Minus One. This is one that had not been on my radar, but I heard a lot of good things about it, so I went to see it, and I thought this was a good film. I think it bordered on great, but what kept it from being great in my book was the ending, which I felt like trying to think how not to go into spoilers. I just the ending didn't resonate with me. We'll just say that. I think leading up to the ending, I was very much enjoying the film. I yeah really liked a lot of it. I was able to see it in Dolby, and it was yeah just a great Godzilla film. I think Godzilla films and me are maybe or for me are a little bit lower on my list for things I tend to like. So I think if you're more into like the MonsterVerse sort of Godzilla type movies, this is probably going to be an A for you. But like that's just acknowledging that I grade on a curve, and this is my personal letter grades for how much I enjoyed a film and kind of my experience with it. But still good. I recommend it. I think it's worth the watch. After that was the Boy and the Heron, another Japanese film. It was great to kind of have these back to back. I think I saw this one in IMAX. I could be wrong. Maybe it was Dolby, but this was another fun film. I actually thought that this ended up for me in the just barely into the A category. I really liked it. I liked the music. I liked just kind of the adventureness of it. It felt like a Studio Ghibli sort of take on Narnia for just general feel of the film. So I liked the characters and just kind of the fantasy adventure element of it, which I think just melded together in an overall great film. I think there's a lot of sort of mystery wrapped up in it, and it doesn't give you all the answers. So I think it's also kind of leaves you you leave the movie kind of asking questions, and it's still kind of on your mind, which I think is as a mark of a great movie as well. Wonka I saw as well. That's next up. And this I think here's another example of where like my personal grade of it is lower than I think what an objective grade would be. But I had fun with the film. I had no idea it was a musical going in. I do really like musicals. So it was a happy surprise for me. I know it wasn't a happy surprise for everybody because they kept that completely out of the marketing. But I liked the music. I liked the characters. I think it's a really, really good family film. For me and my personal enjoyment of it, it landed in the B category. Like I think the characters, especially the villains, are maybe a little too one-dimensional, and I prefer a little bit more depth to the characters, and that's what it would take to kind of bump it into the A category for me, but it wasn't trying to be that. So I think for the movie that it was trying to be, which is like a general crowd pleaser and an all ages sort of movie, I think it knocked it out of the park, and on that account, it would probably be more of like an A, but for my objective or my subjective grading, and it was just a B in my book. But that's still a good film. I had a good time with it, and thought it was fun. The Iron Claw, this was a movie I did not really know anything about. I saw that it was out. It was getting good reviews. I was like, yeah, it's a wrestling movie. I'm not huge into wrestling, but we'll see what it was. And man, this was a complete surprise how much I liked this film. It gave me a better appreciation for wrestling and what like it takes to do that, especially the type of wrestling that is in the film, more like WWE, which I had mostly discounted, but there's still like the movie gave me a better appreciation for like what it takes, uh, what wrestlers go through, and what like it's not just like while it might be pre-scripted, there's plenty that's real. There's plenty that they have to struggle through, and I think anytime a movie can deepen in my appreciation for something, it makes me appreciate the movie. So, other than that, though, I think I really liked the movie. I think it's based on true events, so I'm not going to worry too much about spoilers. I won't talk into specifics, but I'm going to talk about general genre and overall like the type of film that it is. So I really appreciate a good tragedy, and that's pretty much what this is. And so I think it's a very, very sad film, and I think it's done very well. But it also, other elements that I really liked about it was how well it captures growing up with siblings, especially brothers, and having kind of that brotherhood on screen. You definitely felt it between the characters. I myself have one sister and three brothers, so I can relate a lot to that, and kind of feeling that connection to the film, along with how melancholy and how much of a how much of a tragedy it is. I think I do very much appreciate a good tragedy when we get them, and this was definitely that. I was not familiar at all with the real story, so everything kind of hit me as it hit me. Several of them were definitely gut punches, and yeah, overall, I think this was a great film. Definitely one of the best of this quarter, in my opinion. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is the last DC film. I've been a fan, DCEU film, that is. I've been a fan of the DCEU films in general. I did really like the first Aquaman, but this has not been promoted very much. I had very little expectations going into it, and it came in pretty much at my expectations. I gave this one a C. It's kind of borderline between a C and a B. It's fun enough, but it's kind of overly silly for my tastes, and um, doesn't really have a whole lot of like, yeah, again, it doesn't have a whole lot of depth to the movie, to the characters. A lot of the struggles that the character has to go through are kind of self-imposed. Like he self like handicaps himself so that he like if he didn't impose restrictions on himself um then he would have been able to defeat the villain, I think, a lot sooner. But like he basically is like, I'm gonna go into this fight with one hand tied behind my back, and then like that somehow makes it interesting, which I didn't think it did. I thought the most interesting character was Orm. I did really like his character development, but it wasn't enough really, I think, to make the movie worth it, in my opinion. So that one was just okay. Didn't love it overly much. The Holdovers, that was another movie I've heard great things about. I almost missed it. I caught it very, like, a month after it released. It was barely in theaters. I think it was like the last day, or maybe second to last day, that I saw it was going to be in theaters in my area. And I'm glad I caught it. It doesn't necessarily demand the big screen, but it's definitely a special movie. I was happy to see it closer to Christmas than, say, like Thanksgiving when it initially came out, because it's a Christmas film. It's not a Thanksgiving film. But I think it's really well done. I think it's a great film. It's just barely a great film in my book. There's a couple things that I didn't absolutely love about it, like the lazy eye that Paul Giamatti's character has just felt distracting and kind of pointless. Like, it keeps switching eyes, and they note that in the movie. So it seems, but it was, for me, it was just distracting, because it kept distracting my attention away from the movie, because I'd be like, wait, why? It's now that eye, his right eye is the lazy eye. Now it's the left eye. And I don't know, maybe some people think it's fun. I just found that distracting, and it kind of took away from the movie. But I liked the performances, the story. I thought the characters felt real, and yeah, it was just an interesting watch. The Boys in the Boat. This was another one I had heard pretty good things about. I liked the film. I thought it was enjoyable. I don't think it rises to the level of great, but it's, I think it's kind of your typical sports film. They are making it about true events, and as such, that means that it's focused on, if it's events from 100 years ago, it's about a bunch of white men. So it's that type of movie, but given that it's that type of movie, I think it does a great job of it. And the characters that we get, I think their struggles are still real, going through the Great Depression and everything that was there. And it's just kind of a feel-good film, I think. The music's really well done. And yeah, just I think it was a fun film overall. And yeah, a B. I think it's worth checking out. It's a good film. Poor Things. This is the second to last film on my list of what I saw in quarter four, and this was an interesting film. I had concerns going into it. I heard you either love it or you hate it, and that was kind of giving me vibes of Beau is Afraid, which was one of my least, if not my least favorite film this year. That was a 3-hour, very stressful, anxiety filled movie that I did not personally appreciate. I get what it was trying to go for. It just wasn't for me. So when I hear movies, either something you love or you hate, that was kind of what was in my mind. And I kind of ended up in the middle. I think Poor Things is a great film, kind of objectively speaking, but it didn't fully resonate with me. Kind of the more weird and horrific or eerie sort of aspects of it, just I don't really like being very like stressed out during movies or anxious, and this definitely has some of it. It's a bit more fantastical, and it's creative, and I think the acting is very well done. So yeah, I think there's I definitely would see a lot of people really liking it, but I think it's also kind of niche. It's very, I think, artistic and that sort of thing. But for me, I enjoyed it, I appreciated it, but didn't quite get to the level of loving it and giving it something higher than a B. And then the last film is The Color Purple. I just saw that this last weekend, and that was good. I wasn't familiar with it at all. I knew it was a musical, but I didn't know the story. I think it kind of bordered between a B and an A for me. I thought it was good, but not great. I felt it was maybe a little long. I liked some of the music, but then some of it felt like, I don't know, maybe a few too many musical numbers. And that sort of a thing. But I liked the characters. I liked it was interesting, kind of um, yeah, seeing characters that I wouldn't otherwise get to kind of relate to or hear their story, and yeah, I think it's just it was it feels like it's an important, that characters feel real, like they have depth, and that's the sort of the thing that I appreciate that comes together in a pretty good story, albeit one that felt maybe just a little long. So I felt the length on the film just a bit. I think that's maybe what keeps it from being higher, but yeah, definitely some. It's also just a sad film, and yeah, a little hard to watch, but I think good all around. So, yeah, that kind of rounds out my quarter four of 2023. So yeah, basically a lot of B's. I think there was a lot of solid films, but nothing super special, or very few super special films, and not too many that I saw that kind of dropped the ball and I didn't really think were worth the time. But yeah, if you've seen any of those or all of those and want to share your thoughts, I always love hearing everyone else's thoughts in the comments down below. Certainly, if you liked it better than me, I love hearing that. Anytime I know that somebody liked a movie better than me, that just makes me happy for them. Kind of makes me maybe a little jealous that I didn't like it more. But certainly don't wish for if especially for the movies that I just gave a C to. I hope others enjoy them more than me. So that's always my take. And yeah, definitely comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And with that, we'll catch you in the next video.